On the broadcast tonight, up in the air, the last of the big airlines, a legacy carrier, American Airlines, files for bankruptcy. Tonight, why this has happened and what it means for those who fly. Second thoughts for Herman Cain tonight. He says he's reassessing whether to stay in the race after the new accusations about a 13-year extramarital affair. Under siege, just like 1979 all over again. In Tehran today, an angry mob storms an embassy, takes hostages, and sends a chilling message to the West. And the rich getting richer. You saw the 3 lottery jackpot winners in Connecticut yesterday, $254 million tonight. New questions. Are they the real winners? If not, who is? Nightly News begins now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. Perhaps it's because of its name. For all the bankruptcies we've covered in this grim U.S. economy, this one gets your attention. You'll forgive us, we have a fire alarm announcement going on here in the studio. It's called American Airlines, after all, and even though for a lot of people it can mean a cramped seat on a crowded flight on board a well-worn plane, it's a legacy carrier, one of the oldest, one of the big brand names. In fact, it flies the American brand around the world. The airline has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection during this busy holiday travel time to financially regroup while staying in the air, though perhaps not something special anymore. Again, we have an announcement going on here in the studio. Tom Costello, we should advise our viewers there's no danger to us. We'd love to make this stop. Why don't you take it from our Washington bureau?
Well, I'm glad you're okay. That's a first for me. Good evening, Brian. American Airlines says its labor costs are $800 million higher than its competitors. It was losing too much money, so today it acted. For 10 years, American Airlines has fought to avoid bankruptcy, even as Delta, United, Continental, and U.S. Airways became leaner and stronger under Chapter 11. Today, more than $10 billion in debt, American said it could wait no longer.
The path ahead will be hard, but it's a well-worn path, and we will make the company successful.
American insists customers won't be affected. But for the 265,000 passengers who fly American and American Eagle every day, some concern.
We would be concerned next time we schedule a flight anywhere, certainly if it was American.
Among passengers' most common questions, what if I've booked upcoming travel on American or an alliance partner? The answer, those tickets will still be honored. What about the valuable frequent flyer miles I've earned? American sent out an email today saying, we want to assure you that your Advantage miles are secure. And what if I may want to fly American in the future? The airline insists it plans to be around for a long time.
For most of us who get on a plane and fly, you're not going to notice any difference.
Despite all the extra fees passengers now pay to check a bag, get a little legroom, or change a ticket, American lost nearly $500 million last year. Now it promises a tail-by-tail review of the entire airline. That could eventually mean slimming down, fewer seats, and fewer destinations. Robert Crandall is considered a legend in the airline industry, running American from 1985 to 1998.
What you're going to see as a consequence of this bankruptcy filing is that American will remain a strong and viable competitor, and the industry needs a strong and viable American airline.
But that could also mean painful cuts for some of the 80,000 American employees. It's been locked in nasty contract talks with its pilots union. Experts now expect the airline to use Chapter 11 to force concessions from its unions and in its benefits programs. Brian?
And Tom, while we have you, and to the rest of the good folks watching, we thought all the speakers were turned off in here. Looks like we have a routine alarm 1 floor below our studio. All is well. Tom Costello, thanks for that from our Washington bureau. In presidential politics tonight, one day after an Atlanta woman came forward alleging a 13-year affair, Herman Cain told staffers he is officially reassessing his candidacy. Our report tonight from NBC's Lisa Myers.
There he is. is, here he is.
Herman Cain kept his distance from reporters today after telling his staff he's reassessing the viability of his candidacy. In a conference call with his team, Cain spoke of the latest firestorm. Claims by an Atlanta woman, Ginger White, that she had a 13-year affair with him.
I didn't want to come out with this. I did not.
Cain unequivocally denied having an affair, said the woman was a friend he'd been trying to help financially. But he added, "We have to do an assessment as to whether or not this is going to create too much of a cloud in some people's minds as to whether or not they would be able to support us going forth." He said, "It's also taken a toll on my wife and family." Many conservatives came to Cain's defense before, when 4 different women accused him of sexual harassment. But so far, not this time.
I think this is the most damaging allegation that has been made to date. No question about it.
Today, former Speaker Newt Gingrich, who's had his own infidelity issues, tread carefully.
I think it's a very difficult situation for he and his family. My heart goes out to them. I hope that he reaches whatever is the right decision for them.
White says she decided to come forward partly because she felt badly about how Cain's other accusers were treated.
These statements are all false. All of these women are lying. They're all lying. They are all lying.
Yes, they are.
It bothered me that they were being demonized, sort of, or they were being treated as if they were automatically lying.
Asked tonight if he is dropping out of the race, Cain told NBC News,
999, doing fine.
Cain says he'll continue to campaign with vim and vigor over the next several days and see how his supporters respond. But many conservative voices now say he's too badly damaged to be a viable candidate. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
At this point, our chief White House correspondent and political director, Chuck Todd, is with us with more on this. And Chuck, where does this Herman Cain development leave this already kind of confused GOP field?
Well, look, the Cain campaign was withering on the vine before this allegation. The trend lines were going down, and at this point it puts it in a downward spiral, as the campaign itself is acknowledging. Meanwhile, the campaign itself, the Republican campaign, is moving on, and there's an interesting dynamic going on. So you have Newt Gingrich, who's sort of the new anti-Romney conservative candidate that is surging in the polls. He's desperately trying to get into a one-on-one with Mitt Romney. You have Mitt Romney trying to deflect Gingrich and instead trying to draw out President Obama. Even today, he was very excited to answer questions about these new DNC attack ads. Meanwhile, what's the Obama campaign doing? They're desperately putting out ads, hoping that the Republican primary will tie Mitt Romney down. They don't want to engage Romney. They would like to see other Republicans attack him. So you have this odd little circular dance going on between arguably the 3 major contenders.
And Chuck, I want to play a clip now from Rick Perry. This was something that aired over and over on a lot of the cable networks today, because this moment people heard it, they realized he had managed to make 2 mistakes in 1 sentence. Let's listen.
Those of you that will be 21 by November the 12th, I ask for your support and your vote. Those of you who won't be, just work hard.
So, Chuck, have at it.
Well, I'll tell you, Rick Perry, of all people right now, he can't afford flubs like this. The voters can forgive you for 1 or 2 flubs, but because of the brain freeze he had in the debate, these are things that are a little more difficult for him to get over than if it was another candidate.
So he managed to get both the voting age wrong, and the
18.
date of the election.
Well, there you go. Hopefully, for his sake, that the voters don't necessarily follow his advice.
All right. Chuck Todd at the White House tonight. Chuck, thanks. Yeah. Overseas now to Iran and what happened in the streets of Tehran this morning. The storming of the British embassy in an assault that looked frighteningly familiar to what we all lived through decades ago, and we're learning tonight may have been more orchestrated than it first appeared to be. Our chief foreign correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, has our report.
A terrifying mob attack. Hundreds of protesters screaming death to England, storming the British embassy, breaking windows, even running off with a picture of the Queen. A violent echo of the takeover of the American embassy in Tehran during the Islamic Revolution in 1979, when 52 Americans were held for 444 days. Today, Iran's government TV covered it all live.
Britain should be accountable, and this is not my word, this is the word of experts.
A tip-off that the takeover was sanctioned by the regime and carried out by the powerful Basij force, the government militia that quashed student protests during elections in 2009. Today, even Iran's Russian allies joined the U.S. and others in condemning the attack.
I strongly urge the Iranian government to hold those who are responsible to task. They have a responsibility to protect diplomatic outposts.
NBC's Tehran bureau chief Ali Arouzi is there.
We have to assume that incidents like this have tacit approval from the very top. Spontaneous demonstrations are not tolerated here by the government and are crushed by an iron fist.
What set it off? Last week, the British cut off all dealings with Iran's central bank because of the country's nuclear activities, much tougher than U.S. sanctions.
Iran is feeling isolated, because of the sanction, and the sanctions are pinching.
There are other tensions. Iran has accused Great Britain, Israel, and the U.S. of assassinating a top Iranian nuclear scientist. And mysterious explosions, suspected sabotage at Iran's military sites. All this plus political infighting between the supreme leader and President Ahmadinejad.
It may be that the power struggle underway, and there are lots of factions vying for power, has allowed this to happen.
The embassy attack comes as Israel is debating whether to take military action against Iran, and the Republican candidates, of course, all calling on President Obama to get a lot tougher with the regime. Ryan?
Andrea, thanks. That fire alarm we assured everybody had been given the all-clear is back on, so bear with us here. In Los Angeles today, Michael Jackson's former doctor Conrad Murray was given the maximum sentence for his conviction on manslaughter charges, 4 years. Murray was found guilty earlier this month of the singer's drug overdose death, and the Superior Court judge in the case, Michael Pastor, had some strong words for the now disgraced physician.
Not only isn't there any remorse, there's umbrage and outrage on the part of Dr. Murray against the decedent. Dr. Murray repeatedly lied, engaged in deceitful misconduct, and endeavored to cover up his transgressions. He violated the trust of the medical community, of his colleagues, and of his patient, and he has absolutely no sense of remorse, absolutely no sense of fault, and is and remains dangerous.
One more thing here. California's prison overcrowding problem means Murray will probably only serve less than 2 years behind bars in the L.A. County Jail. Still, Jackson's family said after the sentencing they were pleased with the result. Thanks for bearing with us here and our difficult fire alarm problem. We continue to be under no danger. It's just clearing the electronics at this point. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. As we continue to deal with a fire alarm that is stuck, we press on nonetheless with tonight's broadcast, and that means we're back with the latest installment in our series of reports, The War Next Door, about the escalating fight against Mexican drug traffickers who have crossed deeply into this country along the southern border. Tonight we have a rare look from the sky over an area that has seen record drug seizures this year, with some of the Americans who fly day and night along the route, spotting smugglers and protecting U.S. law enforcement on the ground. Our report tonight from NBC's Mark Potter.
Near the Mexican border, another day of air patrol for the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Start looking on this side.
On a day we fly with them along the Rio Grande,
we got the vehicle over here.
Pilots quickly spot a team of Mexican traffickers.
There's going to be a bunch more here.
With a load of drugs bound for the United States.
So there's going to be about 6 or 7 guys, at least 5 bundles, and a blue raft.
Veteran officers here who spend every day in the sky say drug trafficking in this area has increased dramatically in just the last couple of years, and they see no end in sight.
What they do see is stunning. Vehicles loaded with Mexican drugs racing dangerously through busy streets.
Oh, no.
On the U.S. side of the border.
He nearly struck 2 school buses still southbound.
I've seen the level of aggression increase exponentially. The sheer volume of narcotics that's being pumped into our border has risen.
What Texas pilots also see are Mexican cartel smuggling vehicles running from U.S. law enforcement, then driving into the Rio Grande to avoid capture.
Bam.
All units, we have a splashdown.
In South Texas, it happens routinely.
Okay, we got rafts in the water, a bunch of people on the U.S. side. This thing is loaded.
With the truck in the river, teams of Mexican smugglers come brazenly to the American riverbank to retrieve their drug packages and then return to the Mexican side, where U.S. agents cannot arrest them. It can get dangerous.
We have had a lot of guns pointed at us on the river and other places. And obviously the threat's there.
If you hear gunshots, let us know, please.
Pilots say that threat to officers and the public is rising.
I think it's important that our citizens, not only in the state, but in the United States, are aware of how porous our border is and what the threats are and could be.
Oh, my God. Blast down.
Threats that officers in the sky see every day. Mark Potter, NBC News, Edinburgh, Texas.
There is a lot more from the front lines on the war next door. It's on our website, NBCNightlyNews.com. Up next here tonight, why a big star is telling his fans not to buy his new record collection, and proof that no matter who you are, you've still got to wait for the cable guy between 3 and 5. Because we are still dealing with this fire alarm problem in New York, we're going to go back down to Andrea Mitchell in our Washington bureau to continue things here. And Andrea, the question to you is about what happened today in Tehran. One more note on this. Yes. This is going to look so familiar, these pictures, to so many people from 1979.
1979, and of course going into an election year, Jimmy Carter really trapped by what happened. 444 days, 52 Americans held hostage. Of course, it was not nearly as serious. There were 6 British diplomats who were held in a room in the embassy today, but I'm told it was technically not considered a hostage situation because it was Iranian authorities who were helping to keep them secure from the mobs. But we should point out that these were not students, Brian. These were organized government-led militia known as the Bajiz Force. We talked to Ali Arouzi, our Tehran bureau chief, earlier today, and he said these were the same people, they've been described as government thugs who cracked down on those student protesters in 2009, just a little over 2 years ago, when they tried to hold free elections in Iran. This is a very ominous sign. Just as tensions have been really increasing, there's been an open, fierce political debate in Israel, and a lot of pressure during the debate here in the Republican Party over what the president should do next about Iran.
All right. Andrea Mitchell in our Washington bureau during a rare moment of fire alarm tranquility here in New York. Andrea, thank you for that. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, a story we brought you last night that exploded in questions today. Those 3 record Powerball winners from the state of Connecticut who chose the lump sum. They were described as financial professionals, but are they the real winners? That story from NBC's Ann Thompson right after this break. Welcome back. And again, last night here we told you about the 3 money managers who won the largest lottery jackpot in Connecticut history, $250 million when all is said and done. Today, the plot in this story thickened. As a friend said, the 3 men were fronting for a wealthy client who wished to remain anonymous. Well, tonight, another plot twist and a promise that at least some of that money will go to a very good cause. The story from NBC's Ann Thompson.
Winning $254 million would make most people giddy. Not these guys. Money managers Tim Davidson, Brandon Lakoff, and Greg Skidmore stoically claimed the largest lottery prize in Connecticut history Monday for the Putnam Avenue Family Trust.
We're the trustees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Their uncomfortable reaction in stark contrast to other big lottery winners.
Congratulations.
The $229 million joy of Tom and Kathleen Morris.
We're just going to live the way we have, but just a little bit higher.
The New York Costco winner splitting more than $201 million. And the humility of 23-year-old Neil Wanless, winning a jackpot of $232 million.
I intend to repay it that many times over.
The low-key reaction of Davidson, who bought the ticket, and his colleagues led to predictably snarky headlines from New York's famous tabloids. And then this bombshell from London's Daily Mail, reporting the 3 are fronting for the real winner. Their source, Tom Gladstone, a friend of the bankers who today told NBC News, "I was nervous that I let the cat out of the bag." Conspiracy theorists online pointed to the reticence of the trio's attorney to talk about the men.
And then there are the odds. You have a better shot at dating a supermodel, winning an Olympic gold medal, even becoming president than the 195 million to 1 odds of winning this prize.
Today, a trust spokesman said there is no fourth person, and at the gas station where the ticket was sold, the story is very simple.
His name is Tim. He's right here.
Now these money managers have to manage millions of their own. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
With thanks for your cooperation, that is our broadcast on this Tuesday night. Again, thank you for being here with us, and for those of you who stayed here with us, I'm Brian Williams, and we hope to get the all quiet and see you right back here tomorrow evening. Good night.